Bom dia e bem-vindo ao Velocitta. Hello everybody and welcome to the 2025 Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil and Sprint Challenge Brazil. We're here for the first round of our 2025 campaign on the Autódromo Velocitta in Mogi Guaçu in the district of Sao Paulo. And it is celebrating 20 years of racing in this part of phenomenal Porsche Carrera Cup cars. I'm Jake Sanson for the English viewers on Motorsport TV. Great to have your company for another season of great motorsport out here in the Brazilian motorsport peak. What an amazing battle we've got in 2025. Two championships in one broadcast, of course. We have the Carrera Cup, which is for Porsche 911 GT3 Cup 992 cars, and then the Challenge category, which is for the 911 GT3 Cup 991.2. So there is a slight derivation. We've got plenty of time to talk about the differences in the technical regulations across the two categories. But this is Mogi Guaçu in Sao Paulo. Fabulous race circuit in Brazil. Only one of two Brazilian venues we're actually going to be racing at in 2025, would you believe? But for this 20th anniversary edition of the championship, we're going to four fantastic race circuits, to Velocitta, to Interlagos, to Estoril in Portugal, and to Portimão in Portugal for the first time in 12 years. It's going to be a truly international version of Brazil. The cars are just heading out onto the circuit now as the competitors are starting their qualifying runs. And we've got quite a lot to update you with in the off-season. Things have changed quite a lot in the off-season, which is great news for us because it means we've got all sorts of different things to tell you and keep up to date on. We've got 34 drivers registered for this fantastic season of the 2025 campaign. For this first round of the championship, though, however, only 32 of those are racing. We are currently missing Eduardo Minossi, and we also are missing Ryan Mascherano, I do believe. But the rest of the competitors that are registered for this year are still going to be competing, and it's going to be a really tough battle. We've got a lot of changes. The winner of the Endurance Championship last year, Werner Neugebauer, has moved on to sunnier climes, but we've still got a lot of exciting drivers on the grid. 188 racers have competed in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil over the years. Drivers are going to be added to that list in 2025. 6 drivers on the grid have managed to win races overall in the championship. Miguel Paludo, Ryan Mascherano, Thiago Vivacqua, Christian Hahn, Marcel Muller, and Altsur Feldman. 8 drivers on the current grid have scored a pole position, which is relevant for qualifying. All the names above that I mentioned, as well as Rodrigo Melo and Lucas Salas. The man who has been champion in Porsche Carrera Cup 4 times in 2008, 2009, 2020 and 2021 is Miguel Paludo, the Michael Schumacher, if you will, of Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. Marcel Muller has been champion twice, both in 2019 and last year in the 2024 championship. But we've got some history that could be made over the course of today, because one more victory and one more pole position makes Miguel Paludo the greatest ever Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil driver statistically in our 20-year history. Quite a few famous names have competed in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil over the years in seasons. Ricardo Rosset, the ex-Formula One driver who was the championship 3 times over, and then big names in the sport who have raced in Formula One, Formula E, IndyCar, and various other disciplines. Nelsinho Piquet, Ricardo Zonta, Lucas de Grassi, Felipe Drugovich, Tony Kanaan, Christian Fittipaldi, Raul Boesel, Rubens Barrichello, and some chap called Patrick Dempsey, the Hollywood actor in Grey's Anatomy, have all taken part in races in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil over the years. There have been 284 sprint races in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil history. This weekend we'll see number 285 and 286. And that's just for starters, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting into the mix of qualifying, which has a very unique format to the Porsche Carrera Cup of Brazil. We have 4 sessions before we even think about Sprint Challenge, 10 minutes of each category, and we're starting off, as we would expect to, with the rookies. Now, for this 2025 season, we've got 9 rookies registered, 15 in the sports category, and 7 who are competing in Carrera Cup. Now, rookie is a slightly different category to sport and Carrera. It's all based on experience, all based on age as well. So a lot of competitors racing in set category for the very first time, but there's only one true racing rookie in Porsche Carrera Cup for the very first time in this 2025 calendar season, and that is in the Carrera Cup. That is the very talented young F4 Brazil champion who is taking part in the championship this year, Matheus Comparato, who won the Brazil F4 Championship last year. He is the only driver in Carrera Cup who is a true rookie. There are quite a few others in Sprint Challenge, but we'll get to that as we get to that. So it's obviously going to be an interesting challenge. First of all, we start with the Carrera Championship. These are the Porsche 911 GT3 992 cars. 510 brake horsepower, 8,400 revolutions per minute for the engine. Top speed of 268 kilometers, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.2 seconds. Very fast cars, these, and they are 25 brake horsepower faster than their challenge counterparts. So obviously the drivers are going to get a little bit more out of them in the first part of running. You can see that there's 4 minutes to go in the first of our Carrera Cup qualifying sessions. So this is for the rookie category. There are 9 rookies, although only 8 of them are competing this weekend because Eduardo Minossi is not competing in his first round of the championship, though he has registered, which means we are quite likely to see him in later editions. Over the course of the top few sessions that we've had in practice, Marco Pisani, who is currently running in 4th position, actually got the fastest time outright in the first practice session on Thursday. So he's definitely looking like a positive campaigner for this one. He got a 1 minute 29.055 in that first session, which is pretty impressive for a driver in the rookie category when you consider that the lap record here was set by back in 2020, the best time of a 1 minute 27.228. The only driver, by the way, who's even got close to that over the course of this first weekend of 2025 is naturally the reigning champion, Mata, who in the official practice session yesterday of 45 minutes managed to get a 1:28.0, so still at 0.8 of a second away from the pace. Drivers we can expect to be challenged for pole position in rookie, although they don't get the outright pole position, of course, are likely to be Marco Pisani and Paulo Sousa. Watch out for Edu Guedes as well. He is a very good opportunistic competitor for this particular accolade. And of course, Edu Guedes is not just famous for being a racing driver. He is also a chef and television presenter. He's quite literally the Gordon Ramsay of Brazil, and a very impressive racing driver in his own right as well. Carrera rookie sprint champion back in 2023. We're currently watching Flavio Champao. Now, it's great to see Flavio Champao on the grid, actually, in 2025. Category, having raced in the challenge on 5 occasions, almost a decade ago. His last race in the championship was incredibly all the way back in 2016. So he hasn't raced in Porsche Carrera Cup for 9 years, and even then he only made 3 starts in that season. So it's great to see Flavio Champao come back to Porsche Carrera Cup after such a long leave of absence, and he is trying to put a decent lap time down now to try and get himself up at the sharp end. At the moment, it is Bruno Campos who has the fastest time, a 1:29.94 for him, in front of Silvio Modestoni, Leonardo Sanchez, Marco Pisani, Edu Guedes, Flavio Champao, Paulo Sousa and Vanya Pontes. There is Bruno Campos in the number 33 car. Now, unlike a lot of other Porsche Carrera Cup Championship, they are in this particular category. It is more of a racing club than it is a race championship. You don't have teams racing against each other. It's just one big operation. The championship runs and maintains all the cars. Each driver is given a set of mechanics, but the team is not really viable. There are no teams in this championship, so it's basically every driver for themselves. And I do say every driver for themselves because in each of our championships, we have at least one woman competing in the category, which is great news. Certainly in Carrera, we haven't had a female competitor for quite some time, and it's the 18-year-old superstar Antonella Bassani who steps up from the challenge category. She has been replaced, incidentally, in challenge by Cecilia Rebello, who we will talk about in a little bit more detail later on. There is Leonardo Sanchez. Good to see Leonardo Sanchez back in the saddle once again. Endurance champion of Brazil 2019 and 2020 across various categories. So he is a very talented young racer, but loves competing in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. Has done all sorts of different categories in the past. We're running short on time for this one, but he put himself higher than a 3rd position. He's gone fastest of all in Sector 1 with 26.593, fractionally quicker than we've seen from both Bruno Campos and Silvio Modestoni. Is this going to be good enough for a top spot for Leonardo Sanchez? No, the 3rd sector was not quite so strong. A 38.2 there, so he's lost a bit of time. So Leonardo Sanchez is not going to get the job done. Crossing the line to finish off his qualifying run is Silvio Modestoni. Now, I want to pick up a little bit Silvio Modestoni because he straight up to the Carrera Championship from Trophy, which is a very impressive leap. In BR Montana and BR Turismo, but stepping up from Trophy into Carrera Cup is a bit like going from Formula 3 straight into Formula 1. It's a huge jump, and it completely skips the challenge altogether. So that's a big mission for Silvio Modestoni in 2025. As we take a look at the number 2, that is Silvio Modestoni. Just as I'm talking about him, the director decided to pick him up. Only 0.02 of a second off the pace of Bruno Campos. So no, not too many surprises, other than the fact that Marco Pisani has just not found a decent lap strung together. Although Sector 2, he's done a 25.49 for the lap. What does he do? He can't go quicker than 4th place. So Marco Pisani, who's been the fastest rookie driver all weekend up to this point, is now only 4th, 0.6 of a second slower than Bruno Campos, with Silvio Modestoni 2nd, Leonardo Sanchez 3rd in front of Marco Pisani, Edu Guedes, Flavio Champao, Paulo Sousa, and Vanya Pontes, who is another of the drivers who has stepped up into Carrera Cup from the Sprint Challenge last season. There is Marco Pisani, we just saw briefly there, and that's number 1 for Bruno Campos. Yes, mate, you are the fastest rookie. Great job. Now, this is good news for Bruno Campos, because he gets to start in the rookie class ahead of everybody else, but all 3 competitors all race together on track at the same time. Bruno Campos celebrating his rookie pole position. It doesn't count as an official pole position, of course, but the win he may get from this in rookie will certainly classify as a rookie class victory. So that's a very good start to proceedings then for Bruno Campos, who goes quicker than Silvio Modestoni, Leonardo Sanchez, Marco Pisani, Edu Guedes, Flavio Champao, Paulo Sousa, and Vanya Pontes. Now, if you want to hear the interview, you'll, of course, be able to catch up on Instagram at Porsche Cup Brasil. And I should point out that, of course, because it is a Portuguese channel, Brasil is spelt with an S, not with a Z, as it is in continental English. But Porsche Cup Brasil is where you can get a little bit closer to all of the drivers that compete in this category and in this championship. So I do recommend, if you want to hear more from the drivers, that's the place to do it. Now, we've got our 8 rookie drivers come back in the pits. They are done for now. Their lap time is fast enough to be in the top 10 overall, because once we've had all 3 categories do their qualifying sessions, then essentially whichever drivers are in the top 10 overall to that point go through to the shootout for pole position. Now, we have had rookie drivers do that in the past. We've also had sport drivers on many occasions do that. We just saw a little brief shot of Vanya Pontes. There is Bruno Campos, the man who has just sealed pole position in the rookie category. Leonardo Sanchez in the EMS car. Silvio Modestoni in the number 2. Rather patchwork livery for him this year. Great to see him having stepped up from Trophy all the way to Carrera. Now, you would expect a driver to go from Trophy to Challenge, but no, Silvio Modestoni has decided to grab the ball and wrestle it to the ground the hard way and basically go from the 3rd tier to the 1st tier. That's a big jump. There's Edu Guedes. We just saw the Brazilian Gordon Ramsay. Very quick. Champao in the bit, get number 11. Great to see him back in the category again. It's been a long, long time since he was racing in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. And even then, he was racing in Challenge rather than the Carrera Cup. There is Edu Guedes in that very distinctive livery of his, the Tech Bond livery. And Leonardo Sanchez finishing off his run. So in the rookie category then, Bruno Campos got the time of a 1:29.694 in front of Silvio Modestoni. Leonardo Sanchez in 3rd in front of Marco Pisani, Edu Guedes and Flavio Champao. And then it is Paulo Sousa and Vanya Pontes, who is making his step up into Carrera Cup, having been a Sprint Challenge competitor in the past. So a very good start then to the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil 2025. The qualifying session runs with no yellow flags, no red flags either, thank goodness. Because if you get 1 red flag, then you've got 7 other classes that are waiting to go around the circuit on the session. A clean start to the 2025 season on this magnificent circuit. 3.49 miles of racing. I've always felt that this is a race circuit that's been woefully undervalued and underappreciated. The Autódromo Velocitta, very similar in style to Interlagos. It's not Formula 1 grade, unfortunately, but there is a lot of elevation change, a lot of camber switch, and a lot of variations of apex on this circuit. It really does give you an awful lot to play with in terms of the battle out there on the course. First race in 2012. In fact, the very first race of any kind was held in 2012, and it was the Porsche Cup of Brazil that opened the circuit officially for the first time. A very nice claim to fame, that. So the drivers are heading out onto the circuit once again. And this time it is the competitors in the sport category. Now we've got 17 of them in 2025. Roman Zinkiewicz, Marco Billi, Israel Salmen, Nelson Marcondes, Miguel Mariotti, who stepped to many others in his class, Lunu Perez, Yosimar Junior, Gustavo Janon, Christian Moore, who also comes up from Challenge, Rodrigo Melo, Marcos Regadas, Nelson Monteiro is also in this class. No relation to Thiago, of course, the ex-Formula 1 driver and World Touring Car star. There is Nelson Monteiro, just as I say that. And the Andbank number 87 looking very resplendent. Seba Malucelli in this category as well. So great to see Seba Malucelli getting on with the business of racing in the sport category as well. And then the last couple of stragglers who will head out onto the circuit in the sport category are all going to be very competitive drivers as well. A full total of 18 registered for this season, although only 17 are here for this first round of the championship. Alci Feldman is also in this class, which is fascinating because he will be on the same starting grid as his father, Alci Feldman. Francisco Horta and, of course, Alci Feldman are the other drivers in the mix. So great to see them all out there on the course as they try and go for their top spots in qualifying. Now, we're guaranteed to have at least 3 drivers from either sport or rookie or combined making their way through to the top 10, because we've only got 7 drivers in the Carrera Cup senior category this year. So there's bound to be some interesting faces that will make their way through to the top 10 overall on this particular occasion. So what can we tell you about the drivers that are competing this year in the various different categories? Well, there's quite a bit we can tell you actually about how everybody has got themselves up to a decent run. There's a lot of strong competitors on the grid this year and a lot of very feisty competitors. I was talking about a few of them earlier on, and there is the Rust-eze car, the Lightning McQueen of Brazil. You thought they just did it in Australia. Oh no, Alci Feldman has been running with in this particular championship for a couple of seasons now, and now he steps up into Carrera Cup. It's great to see him out there putting in such a great show in this particular car, in this particular class. Alci Feldman, of course, competed last year in the challenge category. His father, Alci Feldman, runs the number 1 Tag Heuer car, as he has done for a couple of seasons now. But it's great to see the Lightning McQueen colours for one of the youngest men in the field, and Alci Feldman steps up into the sport category of Carrera Cup this season. So I'll be fascinated to see what he can do. If it's anything based on last year, the answer is quite a lot. He was one of the more spectacular drivers from Pozo Redondo in the state of Santa Catarina. He and his father now regulars on the circuit together, but this is the first time they will actually have competed against each other in the same race. Not only are they in the same race, but they've both decided to go competing in the sport category. Now there is Seba Malucelli in the 100 car. Man from Sao Paulo, promoted from Challenge, began racing in indoor karting a few years ago, and as well as being a great racing driver, he's actually a fully qualified lawyer. So if anybody gets into hot water out there on the circuit, the first man they're going to be calling is Seba Malucelli. There is Alci Feldman, one of only 6 drivers in the championship to have won a race outright currently on the grid. A former race winner in Stock Car Pro Brazil as well, been racing in the Porsche categories since 2019. Very talented man is Alci Feldman. He, along with 5 other drivers, namely Miguel Paludo, Thiago Vivacqua, Ryan Mascherello, Christian Hahn and Marcel Muller, are the only drivers on the Carrera Cup grid that have won a race outright in recent times. So great to see Alci Feldman trying his best to go. If he does win this year, it'll be win number 6 for him. 5 times a winner in Carrera Cup over the years. But he's still got a long way to go to catch up to the record set by Miguel Paludo, who has won, get this, 39 races in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil, which, when you consider there have been 284 races in the history, that is What a staggering statistic. That's very nearly 1/6 of all the Porsche Carrera Cup races that have happened in the last 20 years. What a statistic for Miguel Paludo. So as we keep an eye on Alcy Feldman, the man behind him is the number 27. That is Yosemar Junior. Now, those who were watching last year would have found Yosemar Junior quite easy to spot because he was running a very different colour scheme last year. He was running as it was 30 years since the tragic passing of Ayrton Senna da Silva. He was actually running in a tribute Senna helmet livery on his car last. Now put that away, and he's running a much more tailored livery to his personal sponsors. A shame in some ways, because I quite liked watching the Senna colours around on the side of a Porsche. But Yosemar Junior obviously has quite a few of his own business interests to take care of. He's got to make sure that the things keep piling in, otherwise he can't go racing. Now there is the 80, that is Roman Zimkovic, the GT3 Cup Brasil racer of 2018 to 2020. He was the endurance sport champion last year, of course. So he knows how to get things done over a long endurance. He's still trying to improve his stature in racing at this level. He's taken 4 sport victories in Carrera Cup over the years, including one sport victory in the challenge battle in years before that. So he's quite an experienced hand now at Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. The times are starting to come in, so let's see where we're up to. Nelson Marcondes has now gone top, 1:29.403. Roman Zimkovic, the man you're watching on your on a 1:29.425, as Miguel Mariotti steps up into 3rd place. This is overall now as well as in class. And Israel Salman, the rookie winner from last year, is now there in the sport category as well, trying to get on terms with Bruno Campos. Alcy Feldman's first banker lap has not put him ahead. Silvio Modestoni. Lino Perez, however, has gone 3rd. So a good start to proceedings then so far for Lino Perez. Very talented racing drivers, Lino Perez. One in sport, rookie, and challenge sport. He has the most rookie Carrera wins ever. That is a full total of 7 of them. Now stepping into sport, of course. There is Nelson Marcondes. So Nelson, very capable racer in his own right. In Porsche Brazil since the 2019 season, but does occasionally dip his toe in the world of TCR South America. Has raced 36 times in the Carrera Cup, though, since 2021. Has yet to race in the main category, but has raced in rookie and sport for quite a long time now. As we continue with the battles out on the qualifying session. Out of the final turn, that is the 83 coming across the line. That's Marco Billi, one of the faces for 2025, as Marco Billi goes up to 13th, just in behind Silvio Modestoni. Marco Billi, very talented young man, 35 years of age, returning to the category, has had 47 starts in the challenge category. He won a race in the 2020 season as well. And there is Alcy Feldman in the fabulous Tag Heuer Porsche. Over the line, what can Alcy Feldman do? It's fastest, 1:28.711. That'll do for now. A very strong start to the qualifying session then for Alcy Feldman. Lino Perez in 2nd, Mariotti 3rd. Alcy Feldman Nito has come through in 4th position ahead of Roman Zimkovic. Then Yosemar Junior, Seba Marcondes and Nelson Monteiro. And then 10th position at the moment is Christian Moore, who's just gone quicker than Rodrigo Melo. Then Gustavo Jean, Bruno Campos, Marcos Regadas, is Salmen, Silvio Modestoni, and Marco Billi. Now we're going to get to our top 10 once the Carrera Cup drivers have done their qualifying session, and then just the 10 drivers remaining that will go for the shootout for pole position for race 1. The grid for race 2, for those who want to get that far into the proceeding already, is set by the finished results of race 1, with either the top 6, top 7, or top 8 drivers revert. A draw after race number 1. So whoever finishes 6th, 7th, or 8th gets the chance to start the pole position in race 2. But that all depends on the draw that's done on the evening. Alcy Feldman has gone quicker than his father, 1:28.02. So it's son ahead of father at the moment. Alcy Feldman in front of Alcy Feldman. It's ahead of Miguel Mariotti, Rodrigo Melo, and Roman Zimkovic. Then Yosemar Junior, Nelson Marcondes, Seba Marcelli, and Marcos Regadas in the top 10. So there is the Lightning McQueen car, the number 95. All it needs is a little bit of Rust-eze and a little bit of Portuguese know-how. as Feldmanito has gone quicker than his father, and his father has gone quicker than him again. 1:28.324. And we're going to see a replay of Rumen Dimkovic finding a little bit more than the racetrack. This is a very tough circuit to get right. If you just drop it a couple of wheels over that grass, then you're going to ruin your lap. It's a very bouncy circuit, this one, when you come offline. Now, Feldmanito is now down to third. Rodrigo Melo has split the father and son combo. Although Feldmanito has just done a 24.991 in the middle sector. That's comparable to Feldman, who goes quick in sector one than he has done in the last couple of laps. Over the line, Feldmanito can be third for the moment. So Feldman still looking good for first position. Ideally, you want to be a driver in the top three. As we look at the 77, that is Francisco Horta, who's got a really bombastic livery this year. Looks pretty spectacular. Very much the Jolly Roger livery, we're going to call this in 2025. It's got the skull and crossbones on the side of his car. So this is very much the ho-ho-ho and a bottle of rum car for 2025. Francisco Horta looking to try and move his way up from what is currently 19th on the grid. He's not really had a clear run yet in qualifying, but he's getting some decent laps together. Let's see what Francisco Horta can do as he crosses the line this time. He's at a 1:29.9. Well, that was a 1:30.2, so he could really do with a bit more than that. And he's only got one more lap to try and get the Jolly Roger flying a little bit higher up the grid. So Feldman, Rodrigo Melo, Feldmanito, Linu Perez, and we watch the Pirate Brave, Francisco Horta. Here's a nice one for you. Why are Porsche so fast when they've got a pirate flag on the side? Because they are. That's the first of many terrible jokes you can hear in the 2025 season. Well, if I haven't got a sidekick, I've got to keep myself amused somehow, right? Feldman in front of Rodrigo Melo with Feldmanito third, Lino Perez, Miguel Briotti, and Chris Moore, one of the drivers who has stepped out of the challenge and moved up into Carrera Cup. Feldman has put one over on the field and gone quickest in the sport category. And that will almost certainly guarantee him, well, that will guarantee him a run in the top 10. As it will for Rodrigo Melo and Feldmanito. They are all guaranteed a place in the top 10 because there are only 7 competitors in Carrera. There's no guarantee, of course, that the Carrera drivers will go quicker than the sport drivers because they're all in the same cars. And the sport drivers may have found a better setup than even the... There is Feldmanito. What is the Brazilian for Lightning McQueen? Because he's got out of his car and straight up to his mechanics. Quite happy with that. Third position will certainly do for the moment. So there is the number 24. That's Gustavo Janon. Gustavo Janon just trying to push that little bit to see if he can go out of 16th position. And he can't do better than that. So I'm afraid Gustavo Janon is going to have to... That's where he's going to be. As over the line to finish off the lap, there is the 30. That's Christian Moore in a very different colour scheme to what he ran last in the challenge. But look at that. Father and son are first and third. They're happy with that. That'll do. We almost got 1 and 2. If it wasn't Rodrigo Melo and his pesky quick lap time. But father and son are first and third at the moment. And it's first blood to daddy. Let's see how long it takes for Feldmanito to put one over on his dad, though. It won't take long, I tell you. So Feldman has a 1:28.324 ahead of Rodrigo Melo on a 1:28.597. Then Feldmanito third on a 1:28.602. Those three are guaranteed a place in the top 10 now because they're only in Carrera. So the top 10 go through. That means that Feldman, Rodrigo Melo, and Feldmanito are definitely going to go through to the top 10 shootout for the race 1 pole position for tomorrow's first race. For tonight's first race, I should say. My apologies. This evening's first race. There, Rumen Dimkovic. Took his car to 7th position so far. No guarantees that he'll make it through then. Only the top 3 are guaranteed a place in the top 10. And there is the Tag Heuer Porsche of Feldman. Great to see him back to his ways. It's been a long off-season for these guys after the season finale in December. Situation for Feldman, for Rodrigo Melo, and Feldmanito. They make their way forward. They've made good, steady progress. And so it's a good start to proceedings. Hello to you, wherever wherever you're watching from, wherever you're tuning in around the world. I know we've got viewers in Asia, across Europe, and across North and South America. Of course, we've got many fans watching along in Brazil, but most of those will be tuning into the Portuguese feed. Whereas those of you who are watching in English, I made many hellos to you and greetings over the season. We've got a very busy year in 2025 that's going to take in great racetracks such as Interlagos, as well as the Autódromo Estoril, where Ayrton Senna managed to take his first Formula One Grand Prix win almost 30 years ago to the week, by the way. And the Portimão circuit in the Autódromo de Algarve, one of the many circuits I love going to in person. It's just such a spectacular place. And we're going to get in 12 years. Looking forward to seeing that on the calendar once again. Carlos Campos in the Galacticos car is getting himself dialed in. Christian Moore, great to see him step up to Carrera this year after racing in Challenge last year. It's all changed for 2025. And Nelson Monteiro, watch out for him. He's going to get quicker as the season goes on. But 12th position in the first run. Not bad going for the time being. There's Francisco Horta just allowing Alcifel here on that particular part of the race circuit. Looking forward to seeing that Jolly Roger over the course of the season. Hopefully not in too many battles on the Ocean Blue. Have a feeling they're going to have quite a few battles on the tarmac grey, though. There's Gustavo Janon in the Seguralta car. And then the number 21, Miguel Mariotti, another driver who stepped up from Challenge last year. He fought for the championship last season, along with the likes of Christian Moore, and of course the man who actually went on to take that championship, who has stepped up into the world of the sport category this year, Miguel Mariotti. That's Christian Moore. And now we come to the Carrera drivers. Now this is where we get a little bit of a sizzle coming into the season, because we've got some very decent drivers to get out onto the circuit in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. Reigning champion Marcel Muller, Christian Hahn, the greatest nearly of all time, Miguel Paludo, one more pole position and one more victory, and he goes to the top of both tables. He's currently joint top of both tables at the moment. Lucas Salas is also in Carrera this year, as are Tiago Vacqua, Matias Camparato, the F4 Brazilian champion and representative for Brazil in the FIA Motorsport Games. And the other teenager on this year is the lady, Antonella Bassani, the driver who won a fantastic championship title in Brazil 2 seasons ago at the tender age of 17. Easily one of the most talented female drivers in the world at the moment, and part of the Porsche Young Driver Program. I've still got my eye on her to represent Porsche at Le Mans one day, whether that's in GT or hypercar or both. A real can't race against drivers who've got 10 years more experience than you and are twice your age and beat them unless you've got some serious talent under your right foot. And Antonella Bassani is definitely a driver we need to watch out for. There is Lucas Salas in the Wish car. Great to see that livery back again in 2025. Lucas Salas really wants big things from this campaign. There's only 7 drivers in Carrera, so expect a lot. The second car that's got out onto the circuit for the Carrera Cup qualifying session is Antonella Bassani, and she's ditched her black and gold colour scheme for this year. She's very much said to Mobile One, howdy, my prime sponsor, make it happen. And boy, have you come up with a spectacular livery for the 2025 season. I'll show you it in a minute. Lucas Salas, currently coming towards us with that beautiful orange Dayglow racing stripe up the very deep green. Miguel Paludo has ventured out onto the circuit again, 4-time champion, 2008, 2009, 2020 and 2021. Matias Camparato, the F4 Brazilian champion from last year. Christian Hahn, Tiago Vacqua, and the reigning champion, Marcel Muller. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of this season with shuffles of the deck, because the one driver that, if you were watching last year, you're probably missing and wondering where on earth has he gone, it's Werner Neugebauer. Well, he's now racing in another championship, which is also part of the Volkswagen Audi group, and has decided to move out of the world of Porsche Carrera Cup, having been there for quite a long time. Spectacular cars coming towards us. There is Miguel Paludo in a much more red-based car this season, but that is the car of the driver more pole position and one more race victory this year, will be the most decorated driver in the history of the Porsche Carrera Cup. He already has 4 championship titles to his name, and he's already the most successful driver on this circuit as well. He's won 5 of his 39 races in Porsche Carrera Cup on this very circuit, making him the most successful driver at Velocitta in the 20 years of the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. The car in the background, by the way, is that of Matthias Camparato, the man who is running in very traditional Senna McLaren colours. And it's great to see him making his debut in Porsche Carrera Cup for the first time. There is Matthias Camparato, F4 Brazilian champion last year, very much running traditional Senna colours of red and white. There were quite a few Senna tributes that 2024, signifying 30 years since the immortal Brazilian's tragic passing. And there's going to be quite a few more tributes running through the year, I'm sure, as well, because he's always very close to the hearts and minds of Brazilians, whether they're racing drivers or just spectators. But the Randstad Blue Dog car of Matthias Camparato, definitely a big talent to watch out for in the future. Not only was he the F4 Brazilian champion last year, he also represented his nation in the F4 category in the FIA Motorsport Games in Spain last year. It'll be fascinating to see what he can do in a Porsche Cup car. There is the 26, that is Christian Hahn. No surprises at all to see him in the Blau Motorsport colours. The Blau Motorsport team, obviously very strong and prominent in Stock Car Pro Brazil, but the sport colours are almost as indicative to the world of Brazilian motorsport as racing green is to an Aston Martin. This is a very traditional colour scheme for Brazilian race fans. They know the Blau car when it's coming. Certainly looks pretty cool, as always, in the very capable hands of Christian Hahn, who would dearly love to go for the championship title in 2025. He's had his opportunities in the past. Here comes Miguel Paludo. Is his first flying lap going to be good enough to go top? Well, it was still a dial-in lap, so he's not really got the car up to speed yet. This is going to be his first proper flying lap. Spend about a lap and a half getting the car tyre temperatures up to scratch, and then they can start pushing. But the lady we've all come to see, or a lot of us have come to see, is the talented 18-year-old Antonella Bassani in the Mobile 1 car, going straight out of Challenge into Carrera Cup. That's a huge leap to go from the Challenge, which of course she took the title in 2023, was the vice champion last year. But for her to go straight out of Challenge into Carrera Cup in the main category, rather than having a go at sport, very indicative of a race driver that means serious business in 2025. That kind of tells me that Antonella Bassani would dearly love for 2025 or 2026 to be her final campaign in Porsche Carrera Cup before she starts setting her sights on the likes of the Circuit de la South at Le Mans, or maybe even Daytona or Sebring here in the Americas. And there is Antonella Bassani. We've waited to see her, and this is a new livery for the 2025 season. The Mobile 1 colour is absolutely gorgeous on the Porsche, don't they? And Antonella Bassani stepping out of Sprint Challenge, having been a champion and a vice champion in 2023 and 2024 respectfully, now steps up to Carrera Cup. And this is where we really get to see what she's made of, going up against drivers with several racing seasons more experience than her. But you don't win a Challenge Porsche Cup title at 17 years old if you are not seriously talented. Imagine if she put in her first Carrera Cup race out of the world of Sprint Challenge. That would be an incredible achievement for Antonella Bassani. She's not classified as a rookie driver because, of course, she's raced in the Challenge for the last couple of seasons, or the 25 brake horsepower less, and can hit a top speed of 5 kilometers an hour less. It'll still feel very similar and very familiar to her. There is Miguel Paludo chasing pole position number 20. That will be the most ever by a driver in the Porsche Carrera Cup, as Lucas Salas bangs in a time of a 1:28.686. That's good enough to go 4th overall at the moment. They're just slower than Elsa Feldman, Rodrigo Melo and Elsa Feldmanito, but we need to see what the big guns are going to do. Certainly Miguel Paludo is on a 26.7 and now a 24.9. He'll want to try and finish this off in good stead. Remember, it's only the top 10 that will go through to the shootout for pole position. And there's no guarantee that all 7 Carrera Cup drivers will get there. They've been separated into their respective categories. But whoever gets in the top 10 overall will get through to the shootout. It's that simple. But if any Carrera drivers do get knocked out, then that is serious trouble for them. As Matías Camperato goes P6. Well, that's great news for the F4 Brazil champion. But across the line comes Miguel Paludo, 11th for the moment. So he's still dying in a quick lap. 1:29.0 for him. The time to beat, of course, is that of a 1:28.324. There is the reigning champion, Marcel Müller, in the 544, the Farben Petrus car. So Marcel Müller, twice a champion in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil, once in 2019, and then it took him 5 years to get the second title in 2024. But what a fantastic season he's had. And he had an amazing 2024 campaign that also saw him fighting for the Endurance. We'll talk more about the Endurance Championship later in the season when we get our first of 3 endurance races alongside the 9 weekends that we have of sprints. And Marcel Müller goes top, 1:27.801. That is 0.6 of a second off the lap record set by Dennis Dirani back in 2020. But that just shows you that Marcel Müller means business in 2025. Straight up to the top, no messing around. There's Lucas Salas, who's only just gone quicker than Thiago Vivacqua. So Lucas Salas currently in P5, just ahead of Vivacqua. He's another driver who's taken an overall victory now in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. Got it towards the tail end of last year with a pole position and a race win. So Lucas Salas, what are his sector times? Well, there's Matías Camperato, who's just gone P6. Great work from Camperato. Looks to me as though pretty much any car you give him is going to be a front runner. Don't forget, this is his first season out of F. He was the champion last year, straight into a Porsche Carrera Cup car. Mighty, P6 already. Great work from Matías Camperato, as there is the 26th, is Christian Hahn. He has yet to set his fast time, but he's gone faster than anybody in Sector 1. Comparable in Sector 2, only about half a tenth of a second off the pace set by Marcel Müller in that second split. So Christian Hahn is definitely looking at second or third fastest here at worst if he tidies up the lap. Let's see what Christian Hahn can do as he crosses the line. Second fastest, 1:28.17. So a good run then from Christian Hahn. Third is Elsie Feldman. Fourth is Thiago Vivacqua. And the 2 drivers that really need to put their socks up and get themselves into the top 10 are Miguel Paludo, the 4-time champion. There he is. And Antonella Bassani, who has yet to dial in a fast lap time in her number 72 Mobile 1 car. The final minute of qualifying in the Carrera class. Paludo, what have his times been? Well, in the first sector, he did a 26.4. In the second sector, he did a 25.2. So he's actually struggling to find the lap time he wants at the moment. Out of the hairpin, he's going to cross the line. And this is going to be his last chance to get himself into the top 10. If he gets eliminated from the first session of the season, that would be big drama. Over the line, what can he do? It's not an improvement. It's 14th for Miguel Paludo. There's potential drama in the first qualifying session of the season as Miguel Paludo, 4-time champion, 19 times a pole position hitter, might not even make it into the top 10. There's Antonella Bassani. Very successful driver indeed in her short tenure in the world of challenge. Has competed in Porsche Challenge for the last 2 seasons, was a guest driver in TCR South America, has won 7 races in Challenge, 3 pole positions, title of course as well. So she's no slouch, but whether she can get it together for this lap, no, she's had to bail out of it. She's had to bail out of it. So Antonella Bassani will not go through the top 10. She will be down in 20th. And what about Miguel Paludo? Has he bailed out? Miguel Paludo is still pushing, but I don't think he's going to make it. Miguel Paludo is out of the qualifying session. Can you believe it? Miguel Paludo, 4-time champion, is not going to progress to the top 10 in the first qualifying session of the season. Well, equivalent of Max Verstappen not making it through to Q3 in Formula 1. That is massive. We wasn't guaranteed that Carrera Cup drivers would make it through, and neither Antonella Bassani nor Miguel Paludo have made it. All the other Carrera drivers have done so. But Miguel Paludo is going to start well. And the all-female crew with lady driver Antonella Bassani. Her first ever test in Porsche Carrera Cup. And it's 20th. Not where she wanted to be at all. So two big names then. Antonella Bassani and Miguel Paludo knocked out as Marcel Muller goes top with a 1:27.773. That's only half a second off the lap record. Nobody could get near to that lap. Christian Hahn got a 1:28.1. Alcy Feldman's time of a 1:28.3 stood him in good stead and kept him third. So here are the 10 that make it through. Marcel Muller, Christian Hahn, Alcy Feldman, Thiago Vivacqua, Rodrigo Melo, Alcy Feldmanito, Lucas Salas, Matias Camara, Inu Perez, and Miguel Mariotti. There's going to be quite a few drivers there who will be surprised that their qualifying session isn't over yet. Almost certainly Alcy Feldmanito will be pleasantly surprised, although he was guaranteed a place in the top three of challenge earlier on, of sport earlier on, I should say. But I'll bet that both Linu Perez and Miguel Mariotti were not expecting to make it through to the final pole position shootout. Well, Antonella Bassani will not be particularly content with 20th position. But hey, small acorns still grow mighty oaks. So a change of tyres then for Marcel Muller. And for the 9 other drivers that make it through to the shootout for the top 10. Marcel Muller, Christian Hahn, Alcy Feldman, Thiago Vivacqua, Rodrigo Melo, Alcy Feldmanito, Lucas Salas, Matias Camparato, Linu Perez, and Miguel Mariotti. So it'll be interesting to see who gets the best of it this time, because Marcel Muller was able to find that magic lap time in the Carrera Cup session. Doesn't mean he's going to find it again to get pole position. I still think Christian Hahn could be a threat. Thiago Vivacqua has been making steady gains, but not nearly enough to really threaten the hunger for the pole position. Antonella Bassani looks rather crestfallen there. Not the way to start her campaign, although she, of course, fought for the championship and won it in 2023 in Challenge. Was the vice champion last year behind Miguel Mariotti. Both of whom have stepped up to Carrera. Mariotti in sport, and Antonella Bassani has gone for gold in Carrera. The lap time just didn't come together there for Antonella Bassani. That just means she'll have to do some overtaking in the race later this afternoon, and she most likely will. Is the kind of driver who uses adversity to motivate her. So it could be a really interesting renaissance for Antonella. One of the serial overtakers of the last 2 seasons in Porsche Carrera Cup in the Sprint Challenge. So if you've just joined us or you're watching this championship for the very first time, a very delight it is to be with you for the 2025 Porsche Cup Brasil campaign. Jake Sanson in the commentary box all season long. One of the most entertaining championships in continental motorsport. Certainly one of the most impressive championships in South America. 2 championships in 1 broadcast. The Carrera Cup and the Sprint Challenge, back to back. There is Lightning McQueen of Brazil, Alcy Feldmanito, in the color scheme of the Disney Pixar character. He's been running that livery all of last season as well, racing in the stepped his way up into Carrera Cup. Not a bad debut for a teenager either, because he gets to run in the top 10 shootout, as does this man, Matias Camparato. Fresh out of becoming the F4 Brazil champion, he now goes into his first top 10 shootout in Carrera Cup. Not bad going. So we now have a fascinating statistic. Thanks to this weekend, 198 drivers have now competed in the Porsche Carrera Cup of Brazil. Pretty incredible, isn't it? We're just 2 off 200 in 21 seasons. Out onto the circuit then go the drivers in the top 10 shootout. Mariotti, champion in challenge last year. Alcy Feldman, 5 times a winner, followed by his son, Queen, if you will. Alcy Feldman Nito is his real name, of course, but he has no problem with people calling him Lightning. As the rest of the drivers make their way out, including the reigning champion, Marcel Muller. Let's see if he can convert his run in the qualifying build-up into a pole position. And Marcel Muller would dearly love to put himself into the pole position slot if he can. 32 years of age, 10 wins, 10 pole positions. This is his 86th start in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. Joined the championship in 2018, having raced and 9 races in Sprint Challenge before that. Was a 4-time winner and a 5-time pole position in his 9 appearances in Sprint Challenge, so it was always inevitable he was going to step up to the big show. This is his 8th season in the Porsche Cup Brasil. At the top. Flying towards us, flat on the throttle, is Rodrigo Melo, man who split the two father and son combos of the Feldman family. Rodrigo Melo started racing Porsche Brasil back in 2013 in the challenge category. Started Carrera 5 years later in 2018. Has taken a pole position in the past, so would dearly love to add another one. This will be his 75th start in Porsche Carrera Cup later this afternoon. Has taken 7 class wins in the sport category in years gone by as well. So he's definitely a championship favourite in the sport category in 2025. But we've seen drivers take an overall pole position in Sport 4. You've only got to go back last year to Ryan Mascherano, the 52-year-old from Sapazal in Mato Grosso. He's not here this weekend, rather sadly, and Mascherano. Obviously, his business endeavours have taken him away from. But we're certainly going to get to see something pretty special from him this year when he does come back. And we've got 5 Carrera drivers and 5 sport drivers, all going for the first pole position of 2025. The lap record, Dennis Dirani, back in 2020, set a time of a 1 minute 27.228. The only person to get even close to that so far this weekend is Marcel Muller with a 27.7 in the previous qualifying group just a few minutes ago. Matthias Camparato sets the ball rolling with a 1:33.1. We're going to go much quicker than that, but it shows you that he's motivated and up for a crack at pole position. 6 minutes left of the session as we look at Alcy Feldman in front of his young son, Alcy Feldman Nito. But certainly for the moment, Matthias Camp in front of Rodrigo Melo, who's just set a 1:34.4. They're still in the tyre warming phase of this weekend. We've got an opportunity to tell you a little bit about how the calendar works for 2025. There are actually 3 championships over the course of a sprint weekend. We have the Carrera, Challenge and the Trophy. But as the Trophy is completely for novices who start the racing career each year, we're not focusing on the Trophy in our live broadcast. We will focus on the Sprint Challenge and we will focus on the Carrera Cup. The Carrera Cup race takes place first, as does the qualifying session for Carrera Cup. And that's to essentially make things a little bit easier for the Sprint Challenge drivers, with a little bit more rubber laid down on the road for them, give them a little bit of a benefit in terms of grip. But the qualifying session for Sprint Challenge takes place directly after the Carrera Cup battle, or there. And then, of course, in the racing this afternoon, we'll have the Carrera Cup, and then literally minutes after the checkered flag, we'll head out of the pits in Sprint Challenge to go straight into their rolling formation lap. And then, of course, for race 2, it'll be the results of race 1 that will take the starting grid, but with the top 6, 7 or 8 reversed on the starting grid. And we won't know whether it's the top 6, the top 7 or the top 8 until the number has been drawn after race 1. So Matthias Camparato has set the early pace, a 1:28.9 from him now. So it's about 1.7 away from the lap record. So now we're going to start going for a decent time or two. Alcy Feldman-Nito is banged up on 29.03 already. Alcy Feldman with a 130.5. As Miguel Mariotti goes third with a 129.8. Okay, so now we're really starting to push it and get that Alcy Feldman-Nito in the Rusty's Lightning McQueen colours. Pushing hard, now third, because Lucas Salas has gone top on a 128.5. There is Christian Hahn in the Blau Motorsport car. So what can Christian Hahn do? In the first sector, he was the quickest of all. 6-0, 24.8 for the second. This could be a provisional pole position lap for Christian Hahn. He comes across the line. Job done. 128.07. Very good lap from Christian Hahn. 6 tenths of a second quicker than what anybody else has been able to manage. What are we going to see? Whoa! Lightning McQueen finding the grass. Alcy Feldman-Nito. He's ripped a piece of the rear splitter off the car by the look of it. Alcy Feldman-Nito really pushing hard. Christian Hahn is quickest. Matías Camparato has gone second in front of Thiago Vivacqua. And then Lucas Salas. Then it's Alcy Feldman-Nito. His father put one over on him in the previous qualifier. Now in the shootout for the top 10. Is Alcy Feldman-Nito going to be quicker than his dad? Will he even the score? He's gone quicker than anybody in sector 1 at 25.661. So we need to watch out for his times. As Alcy Feldman goes quicker than his son again. 128.851. There is Marcel Muller. Now he's done a 25.6 for the first sector. Sector 2 looks like it's pretty tidy for the moment as well. What's his sector time going to be? It's a 24.939, so it's not as quick as Matías Camparato, who has the fastest second sector of anybody. But it's the full 3-sector picture of the puzzle that will make the pole position come Marcel Muller's way. Going for pole position number 11. Marcel Muller really trying, the car sliding out. This is not going to be easy to see who's going to get there. But Vivacqua, Hahn, Muller, Feldman, Mello, are all going to be pushing for another pole position. Let's see if Muller's got it. 127.58. My goodness, what a lap time. Great run from Marcel Muller. Now that's only 3 tenths off record. So Marcel Muller determined that pole position is going to be his. The others have got to find another 0.326 to even stand a chance of taking it off Muller. And I think Muller's more in the tank. Mariotti's fastest of all in sector 2 as we watch Matías Camparato, who is currently P4 on his debut. There's Lucas Salas, currently running second on a 127.905. He has a pole position to his name, and he's going to come in. He's had enough. Can't go any faster. And Lucas Salas is done for qualifying. Second will have to do. And that's only if Christian Hahn and Matías Camparato go quicker. But I'm not sure they will. Here's Thiago Vivacqua. Running down the hill. Marcel Muller's going for an even quicker lap here. He's just done a 24.7 in the second split. He thinks he can go even quicker. Well, Camparato's coming to the pit. He's done. And here comes Christian Hahn. He doesn't want to be third. He wants to find that little bit more than Lucas Salas, who have bailed and come into the pits. Out of the final turn goes Christian Hahn. Up to the line. His second sector hasn't been all that impressive. He comes through. He's not going to improve. So Christian Hahn does not go up into second place. As we watch Alcy Feldman. The fastest man in sport is now Miguel Mariotti. Alcy Feldman-Nito's gone second quickest. That's good enough for 7th. Then Rodrigo Malo, Alcy Feldman. Well, a very tiny job there from Lucas Salas. He's happy with the front row starting grid position. And that's where he's going to be, second on the grid. But in sport, Mariotti has done a 128.45. And now he's Feldman, who's gone personal best in sector 1, personal best in sector 2. Will Alcy Feldman be the fastest driver in sport? No, the third sector fell apart for him. So Alcy Feldman-Nito has put one over on his dad. Well, in this group, when all the sport drivers were out together, Daddy was quicker than son. But Alcy Feldman-Nito has saved his best for last, and he's put one over on the old man. What are we going to see a replay of here? Oh, that's not the racetrack, is it? That went very badly wrong. Rodrigo Mello. Any chance of grabbing the fastest time of the sport drivers gone. He still, however, managed to split the Feldman family. But Miguel Mariotti, the reigning challenge champion, has managed to get himself up into 6th position. There is Miguel Mariotti. A good effort from him, it has to be said. 6th position on the grid. The man who, with Antonello Bassani, to the world of Carrera Cup. How about that? Alci Feldman passes his dad. There you go, Dad. I am quicker than you. Nice bit of body language between father and son there. And as much as they love racing each other, I'm sure that's a real feather in Alci Feldman-Nito's cap. There you go. I don't care that my father's won 5 times in the championship. I'm faster. Good stuff from Alci Feldman-Nito, who goes 7th on the grid for this afternoon's first race of the season. Very much looking forward to seeing how that one goes. So, pole position, Marcel Muller with a mighty 1:27.481. 0.2 of a second away from the lap record. Lucas Salas, 0.4 back in second, then Christian Hahn in third. From Matthias Camparato, Tiago Vivacqua P5, then Miguel Mariotti, Alci Feldman-Nito, Rodrigo Melo, Alci Feldman in the top 10. Great effort from Marcel Muller, fastest of all in sector 1 and 3. Fastest of all in sector 2, Miguel Mariotti. First race in Carrera Cup, straight out of challenge, having won that title last year. And Miguel Mariotti is already demonstrating, I am a tough contender. Don't mess with me. So a magnificent start to the season for Marcel Muller. And there are your top drivers in each of the classes. Marcel Muller has the pole overall and in Carrera. Miguel Mariotti is the top sport driver. Bruno Campos is... Now, the pole positions in sport and rookie do not count to overall statistics of pole position, unless, of course, he managed to get the pole position overall. This man has, and it's the 11th time in his career that he has grabbed pole position in the Porsche Carrera Cup of Brazil. The reigning champion, still the man on 2 times a champion, of course, 2019 and then again last year in 2024. To start the title defense. He has not yet successfully defended a title. Let's see if 2025 changes that. Excellent work from the Fabian Patras car. P1 for the 11th time in the Porsche Cup of Brazil in the Carrera category. Well, that's your lot for the Porsche Carrera Cup. Now we move on to the second championship in our categories, the Sprint Challenge. These are in the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, the 991.2 derivation. That means they're 25 horsepower less than their Carrera Cup counterparts. 485 brake horsepower, 7,500 revolutions per minute. That's the real difference between the 2 cars. They travel at 900 revolutions per minute less than their Carrera Cup counterparts, and the top speed is 5 kilometers an hour less than it would be in Carrera Cup. Anything? Not much to choose between them. In sprint racing, quite a hefty whack. But Marcel Muller, a fantastic performance from him, and he can be very happy with the way his first qualifying session of the season has gone. He will take pole position in the first race weekend of the 20-year celebration of 2025 Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. So he gets the first pole position of 2025 in Porsche Carrera Cup. Our focus now will change over to the Porsche Challenge, the Sprint Challenge. We've got to have a different grid of drivers now, completely different to what we saw in Carrera Cup. And they are, again, separated into 3 classes. There are 10 drivers registered in the rookie class, 8 drivers registered in sport, and 5 drivers who are registered in challenge. Just looking back over the highlights there of the top 10 shootout. A very season and a great way to kick off this 2025 campaign for Marcel Muller. His 11th career pole position in the category. Not bad though from this man, Miguel Mariotti. Challenge champion last year, stepping up to Carrera Cup for the first time and putting it P6 initially. Excellent stuff. 22 drivers in challenge then for this weekend. We've got 10 in rookie, 8 in sport, and 4 in challenge, I do believe is the ratio. In fact, I think we've got 1 missing from I think the rookie category, there is one driver missing, but we'll double check that in a moment. So we've got 23 drivers registered, but only 22 of them are competing this weekend in the first weekend of the championship. Certainly heading out to the circuit, we've got the 10 drivers in the rookie category. And this is, for many of them, their very first attempt to go racing at this level. The rookie are, or the ones that are head out on the circuit at the moment: Daniel Newman, Fernando Arruda, Ricardo Zilberman, Rafa Brocchi, William Araujo, Jose Moranito, who is last year's Porsche Trophy champion, which is the championship for rookies in the category, as we look at Daniel Newman out on circuit. Claudio Reina, who was in challenge last year, and good to see Claudio Reina trying to push himself for another rookie campaign in 2025. Also in rookie this weekend, we should see the very capable and very talented Everton Cardoso, who was out earlier on in the weekend. Rafael Bernardes also be out on the circuit in the rookie category. And I think that's all we've got for this weekend, just 9 rookies as opposed to the 10 that are registered. I'll try and give you the name of the 10th one that we will hopefully see out in the latter stages of the weekend. It is so Claudio Schumau is registered, but he's not competing this weekend. So hopefully we'll see him out for the second weekend of the championship. So there is Daniel Newman in the WS. He's trying to dial in the car to get him up to speed. That means we've got 9 rookies, 8 sport and 5 challenge drivers. And again, it's a similar format. These drivers are all trying to get into the top 10. There is Rafael Bernardes in the number 100 car, and they're all chasing down the 36. That is the car belonging to Everton Cardoso. Now, quite a few of these names will be unfamiliar, even to those who watched the Porsche Carrera Cup broadcast last year. And that's because many of the drivers that are stepping up this season are actually rookie drivers, having only previously competed in the trophy in last year's category. So while we've only got Carrera Cup, namely Matthias Camparato in challenge, we've got quite a few rookies this year: Daniel Newman, Mario Dallara, Rafa Brocchi, Rafael Bernardes, George Filio, Marcos Marquez, and Cecilia Rebelo, the latter two who we will talk about in broadcasts in the next class, because they'll be coming out very shortly after this session. So 9 drivers pushing for pole position. Just getting into the top 10 will be a big achievement here for the rookie drivers, especially considering that there are 13 drivers who will likely go faster than them. They're certainly more favoured than them, because these guys are all in the rookie category. This is the beautiful patchwork number 99 of Claudio Reina. Try and miss that one in dodgy conditions, because I think that one stands out a mile. It's almost as if someone spilt 3 tins of paint in the hall of mirrors. It looks absolutely spectacular. And Claudio Reina, definitely a driver to watch out for. Might come up with a 1:35.4 to start the ball rolling is Jose Moranito. Now, Jose Moranito is the competitor who will come straight out of winning the championship challenge in Trophy last year. He won the title in Trophy and has now stepped up to Sprint Challenge for 2025. So the competitors still putting on a good show of it, just trying to dial in the car. So the competitors still running in a very strong first couple of runs out on the circuit. So let's see if there's going to be an exciting battle for pole position in challenge, as there was in Carrera Cup. But Jose Moranito no longer on the top spot. I was going to say he's on the top spot longer, because Daniel Newman has managed to go quicker still. Now, in terms of the lap times, in the official practice session, the fastest time was set by Caio Chavez, who did a 1:30.339. He's my favourite for the championship this year, by the way. He and Sadek Leiter are almost certainly going to have a fairly unspot run. Oh, and straight off the circuit. Goodness me. Running right off the race circuit goes Rafael Bernardes. But he manages to do the sensible thing. He gathers the car but doesn't throw it back onto the racetrack in the path of other drivers. He waits until there's a clear bit of racetrack. So well done to Rafael Bernardes. This is a replay. Yeah, just too wide into that opening hairpin. And the thing is, you're trying to carry a lot of speed, but there's marbles to the outside. So Rafael Bernardes just sweeps right off the racer. Has he damaged the car there? Because there's quite a few bumps. But look, that was the big thing for me. Rafael Bernardes drifting off the circuit, into the path of the other drivers. He realised, hang on a minute, could be another couple of drivers behind me here. I'm not going to impede their lap when they're on a fast one. We also saw a brief replay there of Claudio Reina just getting it slightly wide at the bottom of the crest of the hill. So you're now looking at the man on the top spot, Daniel Newman, 132.432, but has gone quickest of all in Sector 1 and Sector 2. What can Daniel Newman do? He can go faster by quite a long way, 131.637. So that's a pretty good run there from Den. And to give you some context, that is quicker than he went in the official practice session. So already Daniel Newman is making some big progress in this category as Jose Morenito goes up to second place. Carrera is now third in front of Rafa Brocchi and Fernando Oruda. Ricardo Zilberman, as up comes William Araujo into P6 ahead of Cardoso and Zilberman. And then Rafael Bernardes, after his off, has dropped to the back of the field for the moment. In Porsche Carrera Cup and in Porsche Sprint Challenge, it's very, very tempting to stay quiet during some of the qualifying sessions because you just want to hear the rasp of these beautiful 911 GT3 cars. These are the ones with 485 brake horsepower. Just 25 less than their Carrera Cup counterparts. Just have a listen. I can't talk over that. The Porsches really bring their own symphony to the race circuit. They're beautiful. Fernando Oruda pushing the MS Logistics car through the S's, through the sweepers, down the drop. Trying to keep the car. What has Oruda done? Quicker than he's gone in Sector 1, quicker than he's gone in Sector 2. So this is definitely going to be an improvement for Fernando Oruda of lap time, if nothing else, but will it be an improvement of position? Claudio Reina's time is a 132.2. Jose Morenito is a 132.29. As Everton Cardoso goes fourth. What about Oruda? Fourth himself, 133.1. So the only man who's realistically looking increasingly likely to get into the top 10 is Daniel Newman, although I wouldn't be too shocked if Claudio Reina or Jose Morenito made their way there as well. As we look at the 99 of Claudio Reina, desperately trying to get that rather garish looking Porsche into the top 10. We're going to see a replay now. Oh dear. That's Jose Morenito having clearly gone off the road because his exhaust is spitting grass blades. Off the final turn, powers Claudio Reina. And is he going to get an improvement of a 132.280? The answer is yes, he goes top. 131.5. That's a spin at the back end of the circuit on the climb up the hill. And that could be perfect time for Claudio Reina because that means there might not be a chance for anybody else to go quicker. If we get a red flag now, they're not going to restart the session, I'm sure. So Claudio Reina has got it. Oh, it's a recovery then from Fernando Oruda. So Oruda spins the car. He manages to get going again, but he's not going to get another fast time in now because he will have destroyed that set of tyres. Claudio Reina, though, has just gone fastest on a 131.562. So that could be Claudio Reina into the top 10. That lap could be enough. Based on the times we saw in the pole position time. Oh, another spinner. That's Rafa Brocchi. So Rafa Brocchi in the X99 car spins it now. Goodness me, these guys are really trying to find their feet early in 2025. How did Rafa Brocchi drop it? Oh, he's gone in quite a long way there and somehow managed to roll the car off onto the grass to clear the track for everybody else. But that would still certainly have impeded quite a few laps as there goes Rafa Brocchi over the line now. expect to see quite a bit of that in 2025 because in Challenge, these guys have got quite a lot less experience than the drivers in Carrera. So they will find the limit of what the car is going. Very tough stuff so far. Absolutely brilliant thus far. So still the contenders, a very tough time of it to get that race down for pole position. So it's going to be an interesting one for all of the contenders as they run in close proximity. And Claudio Reina, I'm fairly sure that time is going to stand. I don't think he's going to be beaten now. Daniel Newman, well, I say that, but Daniel Newman is on a fast lap. Oh, there's been a big accident. There's been a much bigger accident than that. Red flag, red flag. Daniel Newman's lap is not going to get there. So there's been a much bigger accident on the drop down the hill by the look of it. That's through the S's. Now, which car is it that's gone in? Because I can't quite tell, but that's a red flag. That's going to delay us by about 5 minutes or so, I would think. But then the damage, one car has gone clean off the road into the barriers and then bounced off it. We're not seeing pictures of it yet because obviously we have to ascertain the condition. But certainly at the moment, it's Claudio Reina that has the pole position time. I'm trying to see which car that is from a distance. Quite a bit of damage to it. Looks like the whole back end of the car has been torn out. I can't quite make out which car that is. I wonder if it's Everton Cardoso who's gone off there. Try and figure out. It might be Everton Cardoso. I think it is actually the number 36 car. Went clean off into the barriers. That's devastating. Bad luck for Daniel Newman, who has done 1:31.628, but was fastest of all in Sector 1 and fastest of all in Sector 2. That could have been good enough to go quicker than Claudio Reina. The mechanics are down in pit lane just watching the scene here. We could get a bit of a delay now, because obviously with a lot of damage to the particular car just off to the side of the racetrack, that's going to need to be cleared before we can go to battle. So Claudio Reina, fastest in the group, ahead of Daniel Newman, then Jose Moranito. William Araujo in very solid fourth place in front of Everton Cardoso. Then Fernando Arruda, Rafa Brocchi, Ricardo Zilberman, and Rafael Bernardes. That's the official ranking at the moment. And Everton Cardoso is the car that was the one that went clean off into the barriers. Very disappointing for Everton Cardoso. But look at Claudio Reina. He's very happy. That'll do nicely. Thank you very much. Fastest driver in the rookie category of the Sprint Challenge. What a great way to start the season. There is, oh goodness me, look at the damage to Everton Cardoso's car. That went in hard, and there is Everton Cardoso. He's conscious, he's awake, he's he's walking back to the ambulance for checks. That's what we wanted to see. Wanted to see that he was okay. And obviously there was no replays until we saw that. Maybe we'll get to see what happened to Everton Cardoso very shortly, but the good news is that he's out of the car and he's been able to, with a little bit of assistance, I think he was quite winded, make his way back. Now, are we going to get to see the incident? Oh my goodness! He's got a long way in. Oh my word. That is one of the most ferocious accidents I have ever seen in the history of the Porsche Carrera Cup. Oh my word. Thank goodness he got out of that. Seeing that a second time is absolutely ferocious. Terrifying. Everton Cardoso just lost the brakes by the look of it on the downhill drop. And because there's a little bit of a dip, as you know, nowhere near as steep as the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, but it's a big enough dip that you feel it in a Porsche Carrera Cup car. He's clearly lost the brake, spun the car, and then the car is essentially taken off as it's gone over the crest. One of the most terrifying accidents you're ever going to have in a Porsche Carrera Cup event. But thank goodness Everton Cardoso is okay. And that would have been a rather nasty shock for anybody following the incident as well. Ay. That makes you feel a little bit queasy seeing an incident like that. But thank goodness we can say that Everton Cardoso has walked away from it. It's going to be a bit of a delay now, of course, because we're going to have to clear the wreckage of his car. But at least we're only clearing the wreckage of his car. So let's deviate away from that for the moment and talk about something positive. Let's talk about lap time. Daniel Newman's time in practice was a 1:31.71. He's beaten that. He did a 1:31.628. Claudio Reina could only manage a 1:32.6 in practice. He's managed to smash that 1:31.5. So whatever problems Claudio Reina had in practice, he certainly didn't have it in qualifying. He's been able to go a lot quicker. But Daniel Newman, I've got a feeling, could have gone even quicker. And fastest Sector 1 and fastest Sector 2, right up until the moment of the accident for Everton Cardoso. But certainly Everton candidate for most spectacular accident of the 2025 motorsport season. And could go viral for all the wrong reasons. Now, I know the question you're going to ask now is, well, after an accident like that, is Everton Cardoso going to have a car that will actually be in a safe condition to race? Well, I can tell you that car, because we've only got about 2 hours the next race, first race of the season, but there is a fleet of spare Porsches that the championship carries with them, which is one of the reasons we don't have any teams in this championship. Porsche Brazil brings a fleet of Porsches with them, but they also bring a fleet of spares as well. I think there's about 5 challenge cars that are basically there on standby as spare cars. So if a driver does have an accident, does have a technical problem, they can at least get into a spare car. Here it is again from another angle. Look at it. Oh my word, that's in real time. Oh. He is a very lucky man to get out of that. And there is the footage of Everton Cardoso getting out of the car. Oh, feel that one in the morning. What a monstrous shunt. He's okay. So as the recovery crew go to work to rescue Everton Cardoso, are be described as the biggest accident of his racing career. We are now going to be able to focus in on the next 2 categories. We're going to have 8 drivers in the sport category. They will head out onto the circuit for their session coming up next. That's going to involve Lucas Locatelli, Mario Dallara, Matthias Roque, Luis Souza, Cecilia Rebelo, Markinson Marquez, Andrei Gajinski, and George Filio. Now, there's a bit of time, obviously, while we're waiting for this session to get going again. So let's talk about those particular drivers. I would guess that the session is not going to be restarted in Sprint Challenge, and I am correct in that assumption because they have declared a checkered flag on that session. So the Sprint Challenge, which you're now seeing highlights of in rookie class, that will restart. So the drivers then in the sport category, there are some fairly talented racers that are going to go into the sport category this year, including Cecilia Rebelo, who's been racing in F4 Brazil and various other junior categories down the line. Joined forces with Antonella Bassani and the very talented X Games skateboarder Letizia Buffoni, who is an Olympic Games athlete and a Red Bull athlete as well. Teamed up with the 2 lady drivers to compete in the season finale of the endurance category last year. Enjoyed it so much at Interlagos a few weeks after the Formula 1 season ended that she's decided to go and race in the championship full-time in the Sprint Challenge this year. So keep an eye on Cecilia Rebelo. Then there's Lucas Locatelli, very talented racing driver. 11 races so far in the championship, has taken 1 rookie win in his career so far, now stepping up into the world of the sport category. Luis Souza, car number 7. He'll be one to keep an eye on as well. Made his debut in the Sprint Challenge category in 2023. Has raced 23 races in 2 seasons, which meant he's only missed 1. Mario Dallara, one of the rookies for this year, has not competed in any of the Porsche Carrera Cup battles in Sprint Challenge so far. Matthias Roque has, of course, the Sprint Challenge driver, made his debut last year in 2024. So he'll be fighting to make his name in this season. George Filio, who is a rookie driver, straight in at sport. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for him. Andrei Gajinski returning to the category. He made his debut in 2018 and has raced 63 times in the challenge category. He's the most experienced driver in the competition this year, but he hasn't raced for quite some time. So it's going to be fascinating to see how Andrei Gajinski gets on. If any driver in the sport category is going to be competing with the likes of the challenge cars at the front end of the field, it's likely to be Andrei Gajinski, although it's taken him a bit of time to get up to speed so far. So we're just awaiting word of when we're going to restart after this man had his monstrous accident. I think we may be about to see the start of that as he made his way through. Are we going to see what caused the incident? No, maybe not. Thought for a moment we were going to see what happened. Maybe it was a brake failure or just lost control, whatever it might have been. It's a very nasty part of the circuit to have an accident. Wouldn't surprise me now that Everton Cardoso is out of the car safely and walking his way back to the pits with the medical team, that we might see that incident again within this little magazine of highlights. And certainly it is a candidate for one of the biggest accidents in the 2025 motorsport season anywhere in the world. We just watched the number 2. Is Rafa Brocchi, one of many rookies in this year's category, along with Daniel Newman, Cecilia Rebelo, Mario Dallara, Rafael Barres, George Filio, and Markensen Marquez. So if you've just joined us and are wondering why we're not quite into the challenge sport category just yet, the red flag at the end of the rookie category for a monstrous accident involving Everton Cardoso. He's okay. He managed to get out of the car with help from the officials and has been taken to the medical center for precautionary checks. After an incident like that, I would not at all be surprised if he may even miss the first race of the weekend. He might be ready in time for tomorrow, of course, but with the severity of such an accident, you never know what kind of malingering difficulties there could be. The good news is that he's conscious and he's okay, but after some big hits like he just suffered, you should hold out too much hope for him to be on the starting grid. He's okay, but the after effects of that accident might just be a bit too much to expect Everton Cardoso to get onto the starting grid. There is Daniel Newman, who was denied the chance to go for the top spot in the rookie class. I think he could have had that. Fastest of all in sectors 1 and 2 before the red flags came out. There is young Zilberman, Ricardo Zilberman, new competitor in the field 2025, one of several drivers to step up from trophy into challenge. There's the 33, that's William Araujo. Good start to his season in the Iman Doctor's car. And there is the beautiful purple patch, Claudio Reina, getting fast time, good enough to be on the top spot for the time being at least. It's still the matter of getting the drivers in sport and challenge circuit. 8 drivers will contest the sport category, 5 will contest the challenge. 8 drivers in sport are going to be Cecilia Rebelo, Lucas Petelli, Luis Souza, Mario Dallara, Matthias Roque, George Filio, Andrei Gajinski, and Markensen Marquez. And the 5 drivers that will go for the overall challenge title in 2025 are Caio Chavez, who is my personal favorite, Gerson Campos, Leonardo Herman, Caio Castro, and Sadak Leiter. Those are the 5 drivers that will be questing after the main body of the title. So Caio Chavez stepping up to the challenge after being a rookie driver last year. Of the 12 races he started, he won 9 of them. That's absolutely extraordinary on his way to the Sprint Challenge rookie title. Now stepping up to the Sprint Challenge main class itself. Could be fascinating to see what he can do. So let's see how this, but certainly a terrifying start to the season for Gerson Campos. Sorry, for Everton Cardoso, I should say. My apologies. But certainly not the way he would have wanted to start the year. But there's certainly a lot more to come in the 2025 campaign. Let's see what happens as we get our way into the next qualifying session. It's going to take a little bit of time, I would say, still to move that car. A lot of damage to it, of course. And then we'll have 3 sessions still to go. The first of those will be the Sprint Challenge Sport class. Then we'll have the Sprint Challenge main category. And then we will have the shootout top 10 for pole position. Here is Everton Cardoso. Don't think we're about to see that accident again. Certainly we didn't see the beginning of it. But we've now seen it from 2 very different angles, and I think it's fair to say that it's the kind of accident that Everton Cardoso is incredibly lucky to be walking away from at all. Terrifying situation for the drivers out there, but hopefully that's the worst you're going to see over the course of this weekend. So the drivers just getting themselves dialed in and ready. We'll get back into the action as soon as we possibly can. While we're waiting for that, the highlights of the challenge rookie session on your screen. Jake Sanson here in the commentary box at Autódromo Velocitta for the first weekend of the Porsche Carrera Cup and Porsche Sprint Challenge of Brazil, brought to you by C6 Bank for the 2025 season, celebrating 20 years of Carrera Cup in Brazil. So far, we've had a pole position for Marcel Müller, who claimed his 11th pole position in his career in the Porsche Carrera Cup of Brazil earlier on today. And now we are in the process of the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil qualifying session. Just had the rookie battle, Dario Arena taking the top spot over Daniel Newman. But the session was brought to a premature halt after a big accident involving Everton Cardoso. The car is destroyed. He's okay. Shaken but not stirred, to coin a James Bond phrase. But obviously now the officials are trying to clear away what is left of the car. Absolutely disastrous. Now, I am told that because of the change to the schedule, the delay to the schedule, we've actually just been given notification that because there is now a delay in the proceedings with the red flag, we're actually going to both categories together. So the sport and challenge drivers will actually go out on the circuit together. Now, that's actually a very good idea because we've only got 13 cars between the 2 categories, and with the delay and the red flag, that does speed things up a little bit. So looks to me as though we're going to have a bit of a speed up of proceedings. Massive thank you to our producer, Nicholas Otterloo, who's been able to chase up the information for us there. And it means that we are going to have just 2 sessions in build-up to the top 10 shootout, rather than we're going to have just 1 build-up to the top 10 shootout rather than 2. That definitely saves us a little bit of time, especially considering that we're wasting a little bit of time sat here as we wait for the next session to start. But at least now we know that all 13 remaining drivers are going to go out together on the circuit. A very busy calendar year in 2025. We've got events not just here in Velocitta, but we also head to the Autódromo Interlagos in downtown Sao Paulo, where so many great racing drivers became inspired to go racing, from the likes of Rubens Barrichello to Felipe Massa to half of the drivers on this grid, who were all from downtown Sao Paulo. When you've got a race circuit in the heart of the city, it's very difficult not to get inspired. We're also going to have races on 2 Portuguese circuit, the Autódromo Estoril, where so many great Formula 1 races happened between the 1980s and all the way up until 1996. Fantastic race circuit, still fondly remembered by Formula 1 updates since its F1 days. And we had some last year, both in sprint and endurance, if you were with us last season. That was when we had a fantastic guest appearance from the Formula E driver, Antonio Felix da Costa, who dropped into town to have a play with us. And the other circuit that's returning to the calendar for the first time in 12 seasons is the Autódromo Algarve, one of my favorite race circuits in the world. There's no hotel in the world of motorsport quite like the one at the top of the hill at the Autódromo Algarve. We'll get to go racing there. That is what we wanted to see. The resurgence and the return to the circuit of the competitors in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. Now that means, of course, that we're going to have 13 cars on the track together because they've decided to combine both the sport and challenge into one starting grid of cars, into one group of cars to go for the pole position. Now we're looking for the top 10 lap times across the three groups, but because of the red flag rookie session triggered by the accident by Everton Cardoso, we have now put both classes of car out together. That's the medical car getting back to its original position, just at the same time that Marquez is heading out onto the circuit for his qualifying run. So cars galore, and let's talk you through them as they are starting the warm-up tyre procedure to get themselves out on the circuit, ready to dial in a qualifying lap. The 54, Caio Chavez, one of the favourites for the championship. As we look at Lucas Locatelli in the Naval car, the 177, he's got to be a favourite in the sports category. Coming towards us, Andrei Gajinski, great to see him returning to Porsche Brazil after a long leave of absence, it has to be said. And Leonardo Herrmann in a very different colour scheme to what we saw last season. Last year he was in a sort of, this year he's gone for a sort of a chrome silver effect on his Porsche. You do see very different derivations of colour scheme in this category. As we look at Sadek Leiter in the roll-on 66, getting his way out onto this for the first time. And there is 54, the all-purple machine, Caio Chavez. For me, he has got to be the favourite for the Challenge title in 2024. His end-of-season form was absolutely spectacular. 9 rookie wins out of 12 starts last season. Expect him to be a real challenger, going straight out of rookie into the Sprint Challenge main class. One of only 5 drivers to be doing that class this year. Leonardo Herrmann, Gerson Campos, Sadek Leiter and Caio Castro being the others. Now Chavez is being hunted down a little by Andrei Gajinski. So Gajinski is great to see him again, but he's certainly going to have a tough time of it, because it's been quite a long time since he put his red suit on and climbed behind the wheel of a Porsche Carrera Cup car in anger. It'll be fascinating to see what he can make of it, though, because he's definitely had a tough time of it. But this is the kind of championship where you can really let your instincts control what the car is going to do. Dialing up the tyres is obviously a very important part of it. You have to make sure it all comes with you in a very smooth operation. So Chavez continuing on ahead of Andrei Gajinski on the road. The fastest time in official practice, by the way, was by Caio Chavez, a 1 minute 30.339, which compares to the fastest lap ever set on this course by a Porsche driver, Dennis Dirani, who did a 1:27.2, 27.4 in the Porsche Carrera Cup qualified session earlier on from Marcel Muller. Almost broke the lap record. You're not going to get to see that in Sprint Challenge, because if they get into the 129s, that's particularly impressive. So we'll have to see how it all goes. Here is the 77. That's Mario Dallara, one of the rookies for 2025. Although, just to confuse you, Mario Dallara is not running in the rookie category. He's running in the sport category. He's just put in a 1:35.903 to set the trend and get the ball rolling. There is the chrome effect. Still the car of Leonardo Herrmann. Now, that is going to take 1 or 2 races before it's completely spoiled, isn't it? Anything that shiny, anything that good looking, it never lasts long. It's why I keep saying to people in motor racing, if you're going to get me a uniform, make sure it's not white. And they say, what on earth for? And I say, because you can't keep white. They go grey very, very quickly indeed. It's going to be similar for that particular Porsche. Leonardo Herman is not going to be able to keep this car particularly pristine for long, is he? So the competitors still getting a good run of things at the moment. But it's going to be tricky to see who gets it. Competitors run on the far side of the course, back up on the power, and down the stretch, up over the top of the crest. What are we going to get to see? Well, Carlos Chavez has gone top of 130.74, and there's penalties. Right, what are those penalties for? Now that is, I'm going to try and do my quickest possible Portuguese to try and figure out what these have been given for. I think it's something to do with pit lane speeding, as far as I'm aware. But we'll try and double check on that one. But certainly 3 cars there have been given some penalties on that one. Ah, no, it was coming out of the pits, we are told. Actually scrubbed the white line on the way out of the pit lane. Now, it's very clear in motorsport that when you exit the pit lane, you have to stay to the right of that white line. You cannot cross the white line on the way out of the pits because it is a hazard for safety. Now, when you're on the circuit, crossing over it at speed like Static Lighter just did, that's different. All the drivers recognize we're allowed to do that as long as the pit lane is clear. But you come out of the pit lane, you're not allowed to cross that white line. So 3 drivers then appear to be under investigation and could well receive a penalty. They will lose their best drivers. So we're going to get a little bit of a change to the change to the order as a result of that. As Carlos Chavez runs out very wide indeed out of the first corner, still trying to find a little bit of extra pace. Now, I'm trying to see the race control message to figure out which 3 drivers it was that will get that penalty, as Lucas Locatelli is pushing very hard into the drop. So Lucas Locatelli dropping back and then getting himself a little bit of a tricky one as they continue to run their way further forward. 4 minutes and a half with a little bit of change to spare. After the session, Lucas Locatelli trying to creep out of 9th position, trying to get himself into the top 6. I can tell you already that the only 3 drivers likely to be in the top 10 from the rookie, Daniel Newman and Jose Morita. The rest of them have all been eliminated from that top 10 shootout. But we did say those are the 3 likely to be making it. Let's have another replay of something as off the road. Oh dear, that's gone very wrong indeed for Mario Delara. So Mario Delara drifting off the road. And that's where we saw one of the spinners earlier on in the challenge. In the rookie class, I think it was that we had the spin. I think that might have been a spin earlier on for Fernando Arruda, who went off on that particular corner. So we're told that the 3 drivers that will lose their best lap for touching the white line, getting out of pit lane, are going to be Luis Souza in the number 7. Lucas Locatelli, unfortunately, is one of them in the 177. That's very particularly frustrating because he's just set the fastest lap of anybody in sport. As we watch the 98, Cecilia Rebelo, female superstars in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil, following in the footsteps of Antonella Bassani and the X Games specialist Leticia Buffoni, and joining Souza and Locatelli in the headmaster's office, the naughty boy list as it were, is Matthias Roque. So Locatelli and Roque are going to lose. That means that Cecilia Rebelo is going to be the fastest sport driver as in her first attempt in the challenge in Brazil in 2025. That's amazing. So Cecilia Rebelo, by being fast and just doing her thing, is going to get the fastest time. Now, the big question is, how quick can Lucas Locatelli and Matthias Roque go compared to the best time they're going to get? They can set 2 laps fairly similar. They're only going to lose the fastest one, but that's still going to be a big headache as Caio Castro comes over the line. Can't go faster than that's Locatelli. Lucas Locatelli up. And he's lost it quite a long way into the corner there, carrying a lot of speed. And he ends up verge out of sight of our camera there, and then spins back into view again. So Lucas Locatelli has gone clean off the racetrack as Cecilia Rebello comes through. And she's done a 1:31.364. Great work for Cecilia Rebello. You won't miss her this year, will you? In her pink Porsche. But she's done a great job so far. P6 at the moment. Oh, she's lost it! Well, that is the quickest commentator's curve I've ever seen. I'm so sorry to Cecilia Rebello. I said she was doing such a great job, and then she... But that doesn't take away from the fact that she was P6 up to that point. She carries too much speed. The car comes through. But actually very smart of her. She doesn't steer into the spin. She just lets it happen. Actually give her tires a little bit of breathing space. She's just got to get the car back to the pits, ready for the shootout, because she should still be in it, because she's in P6. Well, Geração Campos has decided he's had enough, having set the fastest time, a 1:30.131. And that is quicker than anybody has managed so far this weekend. In fact, it's 9/10 of a second quicker than Geração Campos himself managed in the free practice session yesterday afternoon. Sounds like another spin going on behind us. Well, that's Cecilia Rebello, who's already spun, but it sounded like somebody else went off the road as well. So I could hear that in my earphones. It sounded like we had another spinner as Rebello rejoins. Are we going to see a second spin? I think we are. This is Mario Delada, and that's who spun it. That is George Filio. So George Filio losing the car into the left-hander going up the crest. Another spinner. Poor George. He thought he got away with it out of the sight of the camera lens. Not so. Our camera crew is very strong in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil. So I'm afraid they managed to snatch that one. George Filio isn't doing a bad job though. 17th at the moment out of the 22 cars. Not bad for a rookie. But the time is ticked down to 0 and pretty much everybody has come through. Apart from Cecilia Rebello, who is now moted up into 5th position. Thanks to Lucas Locatelli and Matheus Roque losing their best lap times. As, of course, does Luis Souza. And as the last couple of cars go over the finish line, we're going to see Leonardo Herrmann not quite manage to get to pole position. He's third quickest. That was George Filio crossing the line, actually. My apologies. And there is the number 7 of Luis Souza, who also loses his fastest lap and drops behind Marquinson Marquez. Or at least will do, depending on how fast he can go on this particular lap. 27.531. He's going to be slower in both sectors. So if I was Luis Souza, I would get in and accept defeat, because this is not going to be a particularly quick lap time. Luis Souza is one of the 3 drivers, along with Lucas Locatelli and Matheus Roque, that lose the fastest lap time, and that means that Cecilia Rebello, number 98, the pink and purple Porsche, in her first attempt at getting into the top 10 in the Sprint Challenge of Brazil, has managed to do so. Into the top 10 she goes with a 5th fastest time, the quickest driver in the sport category. Good job. Well done, Cecilia. So there are 10 drivers that go through to the top 10 shootout. 10th position with Claudio Reina, the only driver from the rookie class to make it through to the top 10 shootout. 9th was Mario Dellara. 7th, Matheus Roque. 6th, Lucas Locatelli. 5th for Cecilia Rebello. 4th place for Sadek Leiter. 3rd for Leonardo Herrmann. 2nd for Caio Chavez. And on the top spot, Geração Campos. There's Sadek Leiter, one of the 4 drivers at the sharp end of the Sprint Challenge. Challenge category this year as well. Some good all the way around, and some fantastic performances to come, I'm sure, in the top 10 shootout. Well done to this lady, Cecilia Rebello, 5th fastest overall. Top 10 shootout is all yours, my friend. Caio Castro doing a reasonable job. 8th position. I don't think he would have been terribly happy with that. I think he could have gone for a little bit more. And certainly he'll be thinking about that going into the top 10 shootout. But it will be Geração Campos Leonardo Hermann, Sadek Lucas Locatelli, Matthias Roque, Gaio Castro, Mario Dallara, and Claudio Reina that get their way through the top 10 shootout, which will be taking place in just a couple of moments. That chrome effect from Leonardo Hermann's car really is quite spectacular, isn't it? It means that the drivers are now going to change for fresh tyres. There is Cecilia Rebello, following in the footsteps of our good friend Angela Bassani. It was Bassani that quested for the Sprint Challenge title for the last few seasons. Now it looks like Cecilia Rebello is going to do so in the Sprint Challenge Sport class. Great work so far from this talented young Brazilian driver. She's got a big future ahead of her. And now she goes into her first top 10 on her first attempt. There is Leonardo Hermann, third position, ahead of Salita. Gerson Campos and Caio Chavez also getting through, of course, first and second. You're going to see a lot of thrills and fills in the Sprint Challenge. You tend to see a few more shenanigans than the Carrera Cup. Not that you don't see that in Carrera Cup either, but certainly these two grids of racing are going to be very entertaining indeed. We're about to get the final qualifying session of the first part of the season in 2025 here on the autódromo Velocitta. And this is the one that will set the grid at the front end of the fray in Sprint Challenge. This is the race that will come straight after the Carrera Cup race this start. But it's going to be a really exciting battle. In both races, Velocitta always provides drama. It chews up and spits out as much as it rewards. So you'll see a lot of great action over the course of these races this afternoon. And on a circuit like this, on a clear blue sky day, expect unexpected. For those of you who just joined us or joined us through the broadcast, Porsche Cup Brasil has a great reputation for putting great racers in the forefront of Brazilian motorsport. 188 drivers have raced in the Porsche Cup Brasil so far, although in 2025 we're going to kick that up by 10, be just 2 off the double century. And of course, a lot of famous drivers have raced in Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil over the years, across both Sprint Challenge and Carrera Cup. The likes of IndyCar sensation Raul Boisdel, Indy 500 winner Tony Kanaan, and Formula One drivers Justin Piquet, Ricardo Zonta, Christian Fittipaldi, Rubens Barrichello, to name just a few. Also, the Aston Martin Formula One reserve Felipe Drugovich has competed in this category just once. And somebody called Patrick Dempsey, the Grey's Anatomy actor. I only say that because my daughter is slightly obsessed with Grey's Anatomy. So that's just my little bit of revenge. Who is Patrick Dempsey? I know Patrick very well. I accidentally bumped into him on the starting grid at the 2016 Le Mans 24 Hours. And when I say bumped into him, I do mean literally. I was in one of those weird phases where, just shaking hands with my childhood Hollywood hero, Jackie Chan. I wasn't really paying attention, wasn't looking where I was going. I crashed straight into somebody. And it would be Patrick Dempsey, wouldn't it? My mother will never forgive me for not telling her at the time. So we've got a top 10 Sprint Challenge shootout. The 10 best drivers across the 3 classes of Rookie, Sport, and Challenge will now go to battle for the top spot in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. The second tier of the championship, the 3 tiers, of course, including the trophy. The trophy is usually for rookie drivers. We are very excited to see what will happen in this next phase of the competition. Caio Castro will be one of the 10 drivers fighting for the pole position. Some pretty cool statistics that we can talk about from the world of challenge category. Starting grid this season, there's going to be quite a few of them hoping for some success. But of the drivers that are in the challenge category, there's only a handful of them that even have a pole position in various categories. thanks to the amount promoted up across the categories from the main event. There's only one driver on this entire starting grid that has ever started a challenge race from the pole position at the very front of the grid before. Quite a few of them have obviously been promoted up into the next competition, into the Porsche Carrera Cup. So there's only one driver on the whole grid that has a pole position in Porsche Challenge prior to this weekend. Is Sadak Leiter. So Sadak Leiter is the only driver in the entire field that has taken a pole position in the Sprint Challenge grid before. However, there are a handful of drivers that have taken victories in the past before. Caio Chavez has taken a race in the past, so too has Gerson Campos. So far for Caio Castro. And the fourth and final driver on the current grid to take a victory in challenge is, of course, Sadak Leiter, who also has a pole position to his name. So the 2025 Sprint Challenge in Brazil will definitely have some new faces towards the sharp end, as things will be shaken up quite considerably. That's what we want. We want new faces. So far, just to give you an idea of what we can expect from the Porsche Carrera Cup battle, the senior tier of this one, there have been 35 drivers to take a pole position, 42 drivers to win a race, 31 sport class winners, and 17 rookie class wins. It becomes diverse in terms of the amount of wins and wins of class when you go into the Porsche Sprint Challenge. We'll talk about that a little bit later on ahead of the first race of their season. But now we're in the midst of our shootout for pole position. There's Gerson Campos, Matias Roque, Cecilia Rebello, Mario Dallara, Leonardo Herman, Claudio Reina, Caio Castro, Lucas Locatelli. Later will be fighting for the first pole position in Porsche Sprint Challenge in 2025 here at Velocitta. So now time to go to battle. There is Caio Castro. Castro hoping for a very clean and tidy run. Only Sadak Leiter has put a car on pole position from the drivers in this grid. So it's very much open season. If Sadak Leiter doesn't do it, then it is open season. And so far in the practice session earlier today, Caio Chavez and Lucas Locatelli both went quicker than Sadak Leiter. And in the previous qualifying run, of course, Gerson Campos went quicker than all of them. So it's pretty much open season for pole position. Marcel Muller took his 11th career pole position in the Porsche Carrera Cup Brasil earlier on today. But we could be in for a brand new pole position sitter. This man would love to do it. Gerson Campos, fastest in the... Let's see if he can go for broke. He's got 7 minutes to find a pole position lap. So who's going to get the job done? Watch out for the driver in the background there as well. Cecilia Rebello, fastest driver in sport. You might be able to sit there and argue that it was because Matias Roque and Lucas Locatelli lost their fastest lap. Oh, and there's another penalty. This time it's Cecilia Rebello. So Cecilia Rebello now has a penalty. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that was for. We'll chase up what it is. But we're going to see a relief. Has she done the same thing? Oh, she has! Cecilia! That's what the other two got a penalty for. There was no need to do that either. She learns it the hard way. But it had to happen in this session, didn't it? This is the one where pole position could go her way. And unfortunately, exactly what Roque, Locatelli and Sousa got a penalty for in the previous session, doing exactly the same thing. You would have thought that she would have taken the heat from that. But mind you, if her race engineer hasn't told her that the others have got a penalty and what it was for, then she might not have twigged it. But such a disappointment, as now Cecilia Rebello will get a penalty, will lose her best lap in this particular group because she crossed the white line on her way out of the pits. Well, that means that she'll start at least no lower than 10th, but a chance of pole position has suddenly been compromised unless she can set 2 laps good enough for pole position. There's Geração Campos. Trying to fight his way to pole position. Geração Campos, 5 minutes to go. Just the roar and cacophony of these engines is perfectly enough, isn't it? Out of the final turn, have a listen. If there is a more glorious sound than a Porsche Carrera 911 GT3 Cup car at speed, I don't want to know about it right now. It's absolutely glorious to behold. Quite like being stood at the side of the road when they thunder past as well. Trust me, it's just an absolute symphony. So there is Lucas Locatelli pounding the laps, and there is Leonardo Herrmann getting himself up to speed as well. We're still waiting for our first sight of Caio Chavez and Claudio Reina out on track. They're both in the pits at the moment. I think both drivers were just doing a reconnaissance lap and then coming back into the pits to change a setting of some description. But certainly the 177, Lucas Locatelli, is going to be a favourite to try and push for pole position, as will this man, Sadak Leiter. Geração Campos has opened the bidding. 1 minute 30.555. Fastest of all in all three sectors. I think that's going to be tough to beat. Seconds slower though, Leonardo Herrmann. What about Locatelli? Can he go top spot for the moment? 4th. What about the man behind him? What about Sadak Leiter? 3rd behind Leonardo Herrmann. Locatelli is currently the fastest of the drivers in the sport group, but Geração Campos remains on top in the sprint challenge. And now Campos has gone even quicker. 1 minute 30.454, smashes his previous best time by another 1/10 of a second. And considering that Campos' time in the practice was a 1:32.0, he's suddenly found almost 2 seconds more than that in today's qualifying. Absolutely incredible from Geração Campos to go 1.6 seconds quicker than he's gone. What about Leonardo Herrmann in the chrome machine? Fastest! 1:29.974. The first lap all weekend in sprint challenge. Under 90 seconds. Boom! Great lap from Leonardo Herrmann. And that could be his first career pole position in sprint challenge. He's been the top driver in class before, but he's never gone full whack. Oh, and he's lost it! He's lost it, pushing so hard to try and get another lap in that he loses the car. He wins and then spins. Big drama for Leonardo Herrmann. Manages to get it going again. And Geração Campos is trying to go quick. He's just done a 26.8, which is actually quicker than last his first sector. So Campos is not out of the battle for pole position yet. He's just done a 25.45. Here is Geração Campos. What is his lap time going to be? Can he go quicker than Leonardo Herrmann? He remains on a 1:30.4 because that was a 1:30.5. Locatelli still pushing. He's gone up to 3rd place now, by the way. A 1 minute 30.61 for him. Then 4th, 5th is Mario Dallara. Then Caio Castro, Cecilia Ribeiro. Okay, and we're still waiting for a sign of either Caio Chavez or Claudio Reina. It looks like neither of them are getting the lap time in. I think Chavez and Reina have had a problem. Well, we're going to see a replay of what happened to Leonardo Herrmann as he loses the car, kicks out a bollard. Just the back end overtaking the front. I was enjoying being at the... It was up ahead. So Herrmann spins the car, having done a 1:29.9. That's perfectly okay, though. He can get going again. He can bring it to the end of the lap, and he can have another go at it. But yeah, there's no sign of Caio Chavez or Claudio Reina. I'm not entirely sure why they've not come out to go for the pole position, particularly Caio Chavez, who was fastest of all, of course, in his group earlier on. So why would Caio Chavez sit out unless there's a problem? Lucas Locatelli goes right off the road. That is not going to be an improvement because that time is going to be disallowed. 1 minute 30.490 as he crosses the line, but he had all 4 wheels off the curb. And so that is going to be a track time that will be deleted, surely, for exceeding track limits out of the final turn. Geração Campos, can he do? It's still a 130.45 because he does a 130.73. Time runs down to 0. And I don't think anybody... Leonardo Herrmann, the silver chrome machine, is going to become the newest member of pole position Sprint Challenge Brazil Club. And rightly so. Leonardo Herrmann had a very tough mission in 2024. Put on a very solid effort. Didn't always have things his own way. Made a lot of errors in 2024. But he learned from his mistakes. He won 4 sport victories out of 12 starts. But now it looks to me as though he may have come by time. And in the first race of 2025, despite spinning, he still manages to cook a lap time good enough for pole position. Mind you, it's not over yet, because Lucas Locatelli has gone fastest of all in Sector 1. Gerson Campos, he's bailed out of it. And so has Lucas Locatelli, actually. Both drivers have bailed out of their laps. I thought for a moment they were going to push it to the end, but no. They bailed out of the lap. And so, Herrmann, the silver chrome Porsche, number 23, that will be pole position for the very first time in his career in Sprint Challenge. A car so clean, you could see a smile in it. And an excellent, excellent result as Leonardo Herrmann makes history. He adds himself to the pole position list in Sprint Challenge in Brazil. Out of the car, and Leonardo Herrmann, delighted. In his 13th start in Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil, he takes his first pole position, his second season, and he will go from the very front. Well done, Leonardo. Coming of age moment then. So Leonardo Herrmann and Mark are the two men that will start from pole position in their races this afternoon. Good work indeed from young Leonardo Herrmann. Of 2 halves last season. Some wins and some spins, but he gets pole position here today at Velocitta. Gerson Campos second, Lucas Locatelli third from Santa Clarita, Mario Dallara, Caio Castro, Matias Roque, Cecilia Rebello down in 10th, I'm afraid. Down in 8th, I'm afraid I should say. And then Caio Chavez and Claudio Reina, neither of whom managed to get a lap time on the board. So back into the pits, Lucas Locatelli. He's the man who gets pole position in sport. Good effort from him. A very solid run. 3rd position overall. He's right in the hunt to not just win the sport category, but win the race overall. He could do it from there as well. Locatelli's been looking strong all weekend. So expect Lucas Locatelli to be challenged, not class win, but for the Sprint Challenge win itself. And also a bit of a shout out to Claudio Reina, who pole position in the rookie category. He'll go off 10th on the grid this afternoon. You could argue we'll never know whether Daniel Newman's lap time would have been good enough to beat him, with the red flag coming out for the big accident that took out Everton Cardoso from the running. Fortunately, his car is perfectly well. He's okay. The car isn't, but I imagine he will still take up the start in another car later this afternoon, unless his injuries are not going to be compatible with racecraft. Gentlemen, your first qualifying session of the season in Porsche Carrera Cup Sprint Challenge Brazil. Oh, we saw the spin there from Cecilia Rebello, who had another spin during the session itself, spinning her way to 8th position. Well, we've had some fantastic highlights and some very daring-do performances there, but you've enjoyed an amazing set of qualifying sessions for the first weekend of the 2025 in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil and Porsche Sprint Challenge Brazil. Marcel Muller bags his 11th pole position in Carrera Cup. Leonardo Herrmann will start on pole position for the first time. This afternoon, the first races of the season here at Autódromo Velocitta should give us plenty of excitement, great things to talk about, and we cannot wait to bring it to you live here on Motorsport TV. A massive thank you to Enrico Cardoso and also to Nicholas Otterloo, who have been instrumental in making the broadcast happen. A big thank you to them. From myself, Jake Sanson, join us this afternoon when the Porsche Carrera Cup and Porsche Sprint Challenge of Brazil kickstarts in earnest here at Autódromo Velocitta. Bye for now.